Hey guys, how is everybody? I'm just waiting for Soph to jump on and then we're going to start our Q&A for tonight. It's been a couple of weeks between Q&As, but we are back. We've got lots of questions to get through tonight. Obviously, the material and content and, everything we blag on about is recommended for general information only. It is not to be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. So don't be a pelican. If there's something wrong with you, go and see your doctor. Soph and I are not giving you medical advice about it. Our advice is probably just eat less crap, drink more water, have some bone broth, and see your doctor. So I will just see if I can find Soph and add her in. Yeah. So I'll just get Soph on. I'll just turn all these off so that we can't see it. And here she is.
I look amazing.
Your skin looks fabulous today.
I know. I look fabulous today.
Victoria's Secrets will be back on in no time.
The show must go on.
The show must go on.
Lighting is not doing good things for me.
That's all right. That's why I've gone with a bit of dull mood lighting. It's friendlier on this old skin.
Because if anyone didn't know, it's actually Shan's birthday soon, 2 weeks away.
Soon, not today. Not today. Not soon enough.
Nearly.
Yeah. All right. Should we just jump in? We've got a lot of shit to get through. Like literally shit to get through.
Yeah.
There will be shit talk. All right. What are your tips for gut healing when to take things like bentonite clay, charcoal, slippery elm, and aloe?
Sorry, I'm just trying to make this a little bit more color. Double check.
You're just trying to give us a full shot of your cans, aren't you? Is that your best angle? Straight in the boobs. And how many chins can I have?
When you put on front camera and it just gets a really good view of your face. So what was it? Gut healing?
Yeah, gut healing tips. So just I think this one was just more around when to take different supplements, or I've already done our riff on the materials and content. We're not giving advice, we're just giving our opinions. So yeah, I've already disclaimed this. No. So I guess just ideas from you on when you would use something like bentonite clay, charcoal, slippery elm, aloe, anything else you can think of that you would incorporate into gut healing.
All right. So when my guts were really bad, I suppose that was more so when I used slippery elm and aloe water. I would use it now when I have a flare up, but it's not an everyday thing for me. If there was probably anything out of all of them that I would use every day, it's probably slippery elm. Slippery elm is just a natural bark ground down into a powder form. It has a bit of an unusual taste to it, but you can kind of just add into drinks, tea, whatever, and mix it through porridge, food, anything. And it's a really great anti-inflammatory, really great for soothing your digestive tract. So I actually found when my tummy was really bad, slippery elm was something I had every single day and quite a high dose of it. And also aloe water, really cooling and soothing, which is what Shan and I talk a lot about in our workshops, about healing and sealing that gut lining when things have gone wrong, not just adding more in there. So to me, they're really healing, sealing kind of foods. And I think, as Shan and I always say, there's a time and a place for everything that you add into your diet. And at that point in time, aloe and slippery elm was something that I really needed, because I really needed to kind of cool and soothe that digestive tract and reduce the inflammation. Now I have like apple cider vinegar tonics and digestive tonics more so every single day, because that's kind of where my guts are at. So we always think there's a time and place for something, and when something works for you at some points, it may not work at other points in your life, and vice versa. Something like bentonite clay and charcoal. So bentonite clay is volcanic ash, and activated charcoal is usually coconut-based charcoal, so coconut shells burnt and then ground down into charcoal. And they're really good detoxifiers. They chemically bind to products in your body that shouldn't be in there and remove them. So I guess the way that we kind of use them is as a detoxifying product. So at the moment, I've been doing lots of liver cleansing and detoxing because we've worked out my detox pathways aren't working well due to my genetics testing. And they've always been like that due to my genetics testing, unless I kind of look after my detox pathways. So I've been taking bentonite clay daily at the moment, and then like consuming it daily, and then brushing my teeth with activated charcoal and stuff like that. And Shan and I are big fans of using activated charcoal on our skin, on our facial herpes, our cold sores. Shan may have not told John this yet. She might let him know on her birthday, but she has facial herpes.
I'm pretty sure I've experienced a cold sore. I think we're through that.
You've made it past that stage. But yeah, so I think we use that as like a detoxifier. And I think, again, there's a time and place for it. I won't be taking bentonite clay every single day for the rest of my life, but there'll be probably phases and periods where we'll use it. And Shan and I will, use activated charcoal usually when we drink, because we're not big drinkers. So it's a real shock to the system when we decide to go out and get a little bit boozy. And it's a really great detoxifier for that. But Shan will riff raff on about it a little bit more. But that's kind of how I see it. I think with everything when it comes to gut health, you've got to work out where your guts are at. And I think until you've worked that out, sometimes you'll actually just make them worse. Yeah. Like, if you've got small intestine bacterial overgrowth and you're just hella going at the fermented foods because someone said that was a good idea, 9 times out of 10, you'll increase the severity of the situation, then reduce it. So to me, those sorts of things are great, and also good to work with a practitioner when you're going to be using things like slippery elm powders, because it's like an old wives' tale, but it can actually cause what do they say with slippery elm? They reckon it can cause, when a birth goes wrong, what do they, when you have miscarriage. So that's like an old wives' tale with slippery elm, that if someone would have a miscarriage, they would consume slippery elm. So, obviously they are quite potent things. So it's a good idea to obviously work with someone, but same with charcoal. And there's always little things about them that you got to know, like with bentonite clay and charcoal. If you're someone who takes medication every morning and night, and proper prescribed medication, you don't want to be taking activated charcoal and bentonite clay within 2 hours either side of that, because it removes toxins from your body, and it recognizes medication 9 times out of 10 as a toxin rather than something that should naturally be in your body. So it's more likely to remove it, and we don't need anyone getting pregnant on our watch. Definitely not. So anyway, I'll pass on to you, Shan, but that's kind of my point of view with that stuff.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that. I think charcoal and bentonite clay, like Soph said, are more to support detoxification pathways. So if you're doing a parasite cleanse, or you're doing a liver cleanse, or just doing stuff to try and help support your body in cleansing, that might be a great thing to do. Can potentially make you a bit constipated, so you do need to make sure you're drinking lots and lots of water with it. Like Soph said, for me, activated charcoal internally is generally something I would take if I had vomiting or gastro. It can be super, super useful for vomiting and gastro, because it kind of helps to bind to those things that shouldn't be in there and pull them out. So it can be really useful if you've got barley belly or something like that. It could be super useful. Or if kids have got gastro and stuff like that, you can potentially look at working with a practitioner to work out what that dose would be and use that.
Because you use it with Grace, don't you?
I have used it with her before. Yep. When she's had a little vomiting bug, I've put like some activated charcoal in her litre bottle of water, and she's just sipped on that throughout the day. That seems to have helped. I tend to more use it topically. The only time I would generally take it internally if I wasn't actually sick is if I had a hangover, or before I know that I'm going to be consuming alcohol. Otherwise, I'll use it topically for pimples or cold sores, or even just as a face mask. If my skin's just feeling a bit shitty, I'll use it as a face mask. But yeah, that's about it. This is a really good question. Should I remove gluten or dairy from my diet if it has no ill effect on me?
Okay. The place I'd probably start with this is, how have you checked it has no ill effect on you? Because, Tom can consume dairy And compared to me, Tom has no problems with dairy. But once we remove dairy from Tom's diet, not completely, Tom will have it every so often if he wants to have it. But the amount of mucus that builds up in his body when he consumes it, and how runny his nose will be, how much congestion's in his throat, and how much of a headache he'll have the next morning if he decides to, you know, eat some cheese on pizza or something like that the night before, is really crazy for him.
Yeah.
Compared to the fact that he never thought he had any problems ever with dairy. And same with gluten as well. I think there's a big thing where people think that if you have something wrong with when you eat dairy and gluten, that you show, you know, you bloat or you have diarrhea or you have constipation or something. For me, the biggest thing with gluten is I get really bad brain fog. Like, I feel like my head's so foggy the next day after I have it. Say if I had some sourdough bread, even if I make it at home, I'll find it really hard to concentrate. I can't seem to work that day. I can't focus really well. Like, for me, that's actually one of the biggest signs for that my body's disagreeing with gluten. It's not because I all of a sudden have all these problems with my bowels or anything like that. So I think it's about realizing that there's actually a million different ways those sorts of foods can impact you, and it's about actually removing them and trialing it. And, you know, I was listening to a great podcast with ATP, and they were talking about how, you know, people remove things from our diet doing elimination diets, and that you really actually, if you're going to do an elimination diet, need to remove something for 3 months. You know, not 4 weeks, not 6 weeks, but really it actually takes at least 3 to 4 to 6 months for your body to kind of really work out what you've removed from it, make the changes, and detox from removing it, especially if you were eating gluten and dairy every single day. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot in your system. So I think especially if you've got like endometriosis, one of the biggest things that they recommend you take out of your diet straight away when you have endometriosis is dairy, because of its impact on your hormones, and the mucus build up and everything as well, and then gluten, because it's an inflammatory disease. Same with autoimmune conditions, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of reasons why now we are removing it from our diets, and I think it's about realizing that you need to remove it for a long period of time to notice whether it does or doesn't have ill effect on your body. And I think a big part of it as well is the type of product that you're consuming. You know, I think there's a big difference between consuming gluten that's in bread that's got all preservatives, additives, and all sorts of crappy ingredients, and then there's a good organic quality gluten that's been ground down, and it's a good quality wheat that hasn't been, you know, genetically modified and stuff. I think all that stuff makes a big difference. And even Tom, when he'll eat certain things like that, he'll have a huge reaction if he has crappy quality milk as opposed to a good quality organic milk like Bramber, and eats their cheese and stuff. So I'm kind of in two minds about those sorts of things. I don't care. You can eat whatever you want to eat. It doesn't affect me. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't affect me if someone eats dairy and gluten. It affects them. But I think it's about realizing what an ill effect is, and realizing, have you even ever really removed it for long enough to see if it is affecting you or it isn't affecting you. And quality. I think quality is always a big thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I'm totally with you. What makes you think that you don't have any adverse reaction to it? So first and foremost, do whatever you want. I don't care. Doesn't worry me or you if anyone eats gluten or dairy. Just you do you. That's fine. If you're even asking the question, I feel like potentially there's something going on with you that maybe you're not feeling 100%. So it could be, you know, dairy or gluten or any food intolerance, fucking cranberries, whatever it is, could have, you know, adverse reactions. That could be digestion, it could be your mood, it could be your skin, it could be, like you said, brain fog, mental clarity, immune system. Any of those things can be related to a food allergy or a food intolerance, or an indication that you're not, your body's not tolerating something very well. I think generally as a society, we are used to feeling pretty ordinary. We're used to feeling pretty sluggish, you know, getting like bloated randomly, having bouts of diarrhea or constipation, having these big energy peaks and troughs, having sugar cravings, having that 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I need something sweet craving. And that becomes people's normal. So, but just because that's common, it doesn't mean that it's actually normal. Just because you're used to feeling mediocre and kind of shitty all the time doesn't actually mean that that's normal. And I don't think that you would know that stuff's affecting you until you actually remove it from your diet. And I think that, yeah, like you said, it really probably does take 3 months, but you will notice a massive difference within 4 weeks. If you just, and seriously, I don't think cutting out gluten or dairy is going to kill anybody for 4 weeks. And I feel like if you're sitting down to a massive bowl of pasta or a big plate of bread, you're not sitting down to a big plate of vegetables, are you? So nutritionally, there's probably a lot more benefit in incorporating a lot more gluten-free grains like rice or quinoa or something like that, and more vegetables in your life than there is to sitting down to more bowls of pasta. I should have. Oh yeah, you go.
Sorry, I was going to say I should have explained myself with the ATP thing.
Oh yeah.
It's more so like we're saying, it does take a little while to notice when you do cut things out, but I think it's also that introductory period when people only do that 4 weeks and then they just reintroduce it. I think you don't notice how much it impacts your body as much because you've only left it a couple of weeks. Whereas I think when you've taken something out for that 3 months, then you reintroduce it, I think it's much more noticeable. What do you think, Shan? Like, I think it kind of hits your body a little bit harder because you probably detox from it a little bit longer, especially dairy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think if people aren't feeling great and they're open to the option of cutting out gluten and dairy, I think a month minimum is what you need to do. Like, there's no point cutting it out for a week. It's unless you have some, very, very obvious, like digestive issues from having those things, you probably won't notice it within a week. There's a guy called Dr. Alessio Fasano, who is a professor of gastroenterology, and he does lots and lots and lots of clinical trials. He found that gluten, which is the protein in gluten, caused intestinal permeability in even healthy subjects. So every single person will get intestinal permeability from consuming gluten, the protein in gluten. So whether it affects you in a way that you notice, it will cause intestinal permeability even in a healthy subject, which is really, really interesting. So regardless or not of whether you think it affects you or it doesn't affect you, it's still causing intestinal permeability, which is an inflammatory reaction. So yeah, look, like I said, I think there's far more nutritious things that you can be eating than gluten. I think there's plenty of really great gluten-free alternative grains that you could be consuming if you want to have bread or pasta or stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's an interesting question.
I think if you think about like the way that people eat, if you're eating toast in the morning, you're having a sandwich for lunch. And if you look at what Shan and I are putting on our plate for breakfast, it would be vegetables and a good source of protein with some healthy fats, as opposed to some toast with Vegemite or peanut butter. So by breakfast, we've gotten, a few serves of veggies in already, some serves of fruit, fats, and you've gotten some refined carbohydrates. Lunchtime comes around, same situation again. You may get some lettuce or something on your sandwich, some processed meat or whatever. And then we're having, say cauliflower rice with some good quality fats in there or some good oils, and then we're having some protein. So it's like, again, we've already, by that point consumed that 2 and 5 for the day, and the other person who's eating quite a lot of refined carbs hasn't even touched on the surface of that. And I'm not saying that we're better than that person for having eaten like that.
We probably are, though.
We are. But we are. But if you think about it, we're going to be feeling so much better by that point in our day, every single day, because we're feeding.
And pooing. Pooing way better.
And we use a lot of toilet paper. We need toilet paper sponsorship.
From Who Gives a Crap?
Who gives a crap? Call us up. You know what, though, actually? I would like to get some brands to sponsor our workshops who do poop stools.
Yeah.
We should talk poop stools one time.
Yeah, we definitely should. Like a squatty potty, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scotty Potty.
Yeah. Yeah, we
There's
definitely.
one really great one called the Proper.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Mm.
Yeah, they're just a bit more. They're like a little bit more fancy.
A fancy poo stool.
Yeah,
We
fancy
should definitely. We will definitely talk about it, about squatty potties
Yeah.
at some point. What are the benefits of keto?
I feel like you should start with this question because I feel like you. I think it's hard for me because I have a bowel disease where I'm certainly not on the constipated side. I have to be really cautious with a lot of fat that I'm adding into my diet because I don't need to be going to the toilet more than I do.
Yeah.
And so something like keto for me, I've kind of, followed that a little bit whilst I've been doing the gut right cleansing and the parasite cleansing. But I know personally that it's not the kind of process that I can go down because of the fact is I need to slow the food down in my intestines, and to do that I have to eat a bit more of those starchy kind of carbohydrates and things. So I think you'd probably be best to start with this. Although I have heard of some really great kind of success stories with kids with autism with keto, and a little bit on the spectrum when it comes to learning and stuff as well. So I definitely have heard of some really great success stories, and I know there's lots of research articles out now about that sort of stuff.
I think a lot of the science really supports ketosis or a ketogenic diet for mental clarity and cognitive function. So things like Alzheimer's, which is basically, diabetes of the brain, diabetes, even stuff like that can be quite severe metabolic dysregulation at the core. So I think there's a lot of science to support the use of a ketogenic diet for periods of time to really help with that process. Look, I think there's lots of people who, I think if people want to know about keto, I would say go and see the health and fitness guy. He's the guy who knows all about keto. I personally am no expert at all on it. I think it's something that can work really, really well for some people. I think you just need to work out if it works for you. It's like any way of eating and any type of food. You just got to work out what works for you. And like you said, a super, super high fat and extremely low carbohydrate diet is not going to serve you at all. Whereas I actually feel really good on pretty high fat and pretty low carb, but I wouldn't say that I'm in that band of no carb at all. Like I love potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, rice noodles, stuff like that. I think it's just a case of what works for you. But, obviously fat loss, like mental clarity, cognitive function, decreased inflammation, all that sort of stuff can be really useful. I think ketosis and intermittent fasting tends to go a little bit hand in hand. And I think some of the benefits of ketosis can be, you can get them just from incorporating some intermittent fasting in your life without actually having to go down that full keto route. So you can probably actually consume a bit more carbohydrate, but that process of actually giving your body that period of fasting that's a little bit longer than just your 8 or 10 hours sleep at night can actually help your body to really get into that rest and repair mode. It really gives not only your digestive system but your entire body a chance, your cells, to go into that whole autophagy where they actually start to collect all the shitty cells and the dead cells and the ones that are a little bit manky and aren't doing their job, and collect them all and break them down and start to rebuild new cells and create a lot of really healthy cells and help really decrease inflammation. So I think there's lots of benefits to keto, but it's up. Everybody's not going to see the same benefits.
Yeah, and I think it's also how people ask that, what's it for? I think we're also individual. So I think it's not necessarily even just for one thing or another thing, and that's what you take it for or follow that diet for. I think it's about, if you're feeling like your health isn't as good as it should be, you can give, if you see the right kind of people and they get the right kind of guidance, you can give all that sort of stuff a crack. Like, my God, over the years with my body, as with Shan, I've tried and tested so many things on my gut to see what's going to work. I haven't just found this kind of protocol or followed this or read this and then started doing it. I've tried a whole heap of different things to see what would work or what doesn't work. You know, like we've both gone off meat, or we've both gone high fat, and we've both tried different things. And when my gut's really bad, I fast. Like I'll fast quite often, because if they're that flared up and they're that irritated, sometimes I don't just need to be feeding them all the time. Sometimes they just need some time to just not have to process food and just clean my intestines. And, you know, it just, sometimes you just need to give your body a bit of a rest and a break. So yeah, I definitely think we've both definitely tried all sorts of things on our health journey to see what works for us. We haven't just kind of decided that this is how we feel like eating. We've kind of worked out how we feel off different things.
Yeah, and I think it evolves too. Like, I think you need to just not be dogmatic about the way you eat. Like, I'm keto or I'm paleo or I'm vegan or whatever. Work out what works for you. And if a certain thing serves you at a certain time, great. If it stops serving you, have enough like brain function to realize that it's okay to change and do what works for your body and serves you. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to, is to thrive, not just exist.
Yeah. Like I noticed recently, I've started eating a lot of fruit again, and probably for the last maybe year and a half, I haven't touched fruit, or like when I say I haven't touched fruit, barely any. And I barely have any sugar in my diet. And since we've been working a lot on my hormones, I've noticed I've been able to add in, it's not bloating my stomach or anything. So, you know, things do change as you change different things. And that's part of it as well. So I think it's just about being flexible and actually listening to what your body wants. You know, at a lot of the fermenting workshops, people say, oh, how much kombucha should you drink? And Shan and I actually find we have times where we'll drink all the kombucha, and then I just won't even think about kombucha.
Yeah, I don't think I've had it for months.
Yeah, and then I'll go back on it again. It's and same with coconut yogurt or different things. And like right now, like I always have bone broth, but when my tummy was really bad, when we'd done all the work with my endo, I was having aloe vera water every day. So I think you just know what your body feels like when you start to listen to what your body's telling you, instead of, I think a big thing is when we do the workshops, how people ask questions, you know, is coffee bad for you, or should I drink coffee? And like Shan was saying before, if you're asking that question, you probably know the answer. And I know that I shouldn't drink coffee. I know that not drinking coffee makes my digestive system function better than ever. And I don't care how many research articles have been produced about the benefits of coffee. I know that it's not for me. It's not for my gut. And I know if I'm going to do it, I'm going out on a whim. And I'm like, well, that's my choice for today. But I think it's about knowing I think it's about just realizing, are you wanting to hear it because you just want justification as to the fact that you can keep consuming it, or deep down do you know that really it doesn't make you feel good, and you probably need to look at removing it no matter what someone else says, or no matter what someone else tells you. You know, sometimes you just want to hear something's good for you when you know that you probably shouldn't be having it.
What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting and exercise? I'm thinking that question means exercising in a fasted state. Okay.
Sweetheart, I don't even exercise. Fed.
That's Sophie's answer to that question.
And we're done. I think it's about how you feel. If you are fasting and you wake up, you feel like absolute shit. No, I do not suggest going for a 6K run. And that's not because you're being lazy. That's because your body probably is like, oh my God, I'm not used to this. I'm starving. I feel really lethargic. I don't need to run right now. And I think sometimes when you can do that stuff, you can totally throw out your glucose levels, you know, and shake and do, like, you know, you start to get the shakes and sweats and shivers and all that sort of stuff, because you're putting your body in a state maybe it's never been in before, and it doesn't quite know how to handle that. So I think it's about, as always, listening to your body. And Shan and I are big believers in not stressing the crap out of your body. So if you've never intermittent fasted before, or you're starting and you're not kind of doing it properly, or you've kind of gone a little bit overboard, and your body is not in the mood, you know, it's not feeling right to go exercise, I actually wouldn't.
100%.
No matter what your intentions are with that exercise session, because I feel like the amount of stress that you then put on your body is outweighing what you're trying to do with the intermittent fasting, with the whole reducing inflammation and everything. So I think if you're feeling really good while you're fasting, like when I'm doing it and I'm doing it for my gut to help kind of reduce inflammation, or when it's really irritated, if I'm feeling good, I'd go exercise, but if I'm not, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't feel bad about that.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the sort of exercise you're doing as well. So if you're going to get up first thing in the morning and just go and do, I don't know, 30 minutes of yoga in your lounge room, sure, fill your boots, do that fasted. But if you would actually feel better if you ate a banana first, then eat a banana. I actually find that I don't feel good if I eat before I train. I feel like I spend the whole time feeling like I'm going to hurl, and like my food's just sitting right there. So I tend not to eat before I train, just because it doesn't make me feel great. But that depends on what time I train as well. Like if I was going to train first thing in the morning, then I wouldn't eat before I train. If I'm training at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I've probably had 17 meals before then.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think...
Girls gotta eat.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if it's going to affect your performance while you're training, then just... Eat something, and eat something that's got a bit of easily accessible energy. So a piece of fruit, you know, a banana, something like that. I wouldn't go sitting down to a full meal. I wouldn't go sitting down to, you know, like a fucking steak or something like that. Like that's just going to feel like it's sitting in your guts, and your body's going to be sending all that blood to your digestive system to try and break down this food instead of to your muscles where it actually needs to go. So yeah, again, work out what makes you feel good. Do that.
Yeah.
Tips to help curb boredom and binge eating.
Tips. You know what? I wish I was someone that was like, I'm bored. I've never been one of those people. I've never been one of those people. I feel like I've got all the things to do all the time. Like I was thinking today, like I should go buy some paints and start painting again and get a canvas. You know, like I haven't got time to be
you've
bored.
obviously never worked for the Queensland government, Sophie.
Like, anyway, that's just my rant. When people say I'm bored, I'm like, I don't even understand what that means.
Well, that's because you don't work in an office. Imagine if you worked in like an office and you were stuck in front of a computer all day. You'd be using any excuse not to be sitting at your computer.
I'd need a really good swinging chair or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a little desk puppy lives in the drawers or something like that. Desk chicken. That actually makes so much sense, doesn't it? Because I actually go outside and play with the chickens and stuff throughout my day. So yeah, I probably would be bored if I worked in an office. So anyway, boredom and binge eating.
I'm just going to go and get my phone charger because I'm getting like death mode. So just carry on. Talk about that.
Okay, so binge eating with boredom. I think it's about working out why you're eating. And if you are binge eating, I think, what are you eating? You know, are you eating sugary snacks and treats and lollies and things, or are you eating chocolate, or are you going to sit down to a proper meal? Because I think if you're hungry and you're bored and you're going and sitting down to a proper meal, fine. But I think if you're bored and if you're bored and you feel like you're going to eat and you went and ate an apple and you took a bite and you realize you're not that hungry, then you shouldn't be eating. So I think it's about working out other things to do. But also sometimes people just need to drink more water. We're meant to drink, over 2 liters of water a day, and some people get in a couple of glasses of water. So I know when people say, like, that sucks if you're bored and you just go have some water, that's a terrible idea. But I think it's about, if you know you're bored and that's why you're eating, you've got to then work something else out to do at that point in time. Or if you feel like you're reaching for snacks, create some better snacks, some better quality snacks. Shannon and I have plenty of recipes on our website that you could make where you're sitting down to eat a bliss ball that has really good fats in it, lots of good nutrients. We might put, you can put greens powders in there. You can put some good quality hemp protein or whatever you'd like in there. And you're eating a much better snack. And I think it's about, we eat food that's full of nutrients. We don't eat food that's sugary. and addictive. And so I think because we probably don't have that craving for wanting to binge on food, because the kind of food we eat, you don't binge on. But I don't know. I think I know what you're saying in terms of that question and binge eating. But I think once you change your mindset around food, and once you change how you eat, that sort of doesn't become a problem anymore. Because what would I go, I've got some food in my fridge. I couldn't actually go and binge on anything that's in my fridge or my freezer right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a bit, if you're
there's only so much raw liver that one can eat.
Like, that's how sad my life is.
Yeah.
But it's like, even with how we eat, how Tom and I eat. When I met Tom could put away a lot of KFC. Mind you, I've never had KFC my whole life, and Tom could put away a whole lot of KFC. Yeah. And on top of all the meals he'd eat, because Tom has a really active job. But now, after eating the way he has with me for so long, he really wanted this chocolate slice on the weekend. I had to go buy every single ingredient because we don't have anything in our house. So I made it, and he ate half of it. It was a big slab. He ate half of it, and the next day he was so sick. And then he came home from work that night, and he was saying, I don't feel really good. I feel really off and funny and blah, blah, blah. And it's even just that change in the sense of, over those few years of his diet changing. It's not that it was crap before, but he would have a few things in there that we would never have now. And the way that he feels and how sick he feels from eating like that, he did that the once, but he's not going to go back and do it again. Yeah. Even though he was bored sitting in front of TV and the rest of it sitting in the fridge, it's like, because of how shit he felt afterwards, he's not going to go back and binge on it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that people ask quite often with the stuff with the gut health, how, like you would as well, Shan, it's like you eat that sort of food and how sick it makes you feel. I then feel so sick, I'm not going to go into the next weekend and do it again.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's just getting your head around, like, why you're eating. Is it an emotional thing? And I think a lot of people are just emotional eaters. And if that's the case, you really need to get to the root of that, don't you? It's not about just swapping the tub of ice cream for some carrot sticks, because that's not going to work. You need to work out why you're emotionally eating, or why you're bored, and make sure that whatever it is that you are eating is nutrient dense, so that you're not binging on it, because there's only so much you can eat of stuff that's really filling before you're like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's and I think it's the kind of food that you've got in your fridge. If you've got a block of chocolate in your cupboard and it's full of sugar and it's really delicious, well, you're going to binge on it all the time if you keep putting it in there, if you haven't kind of worked out what else is going on. So
because sugar stimulates that same part of our brain that cocaine does, or highly addictive drugs do. So when you're loading yourself up on highly processed sugars and these junky refined carbohydrates, it's constantly stimulating that brain center that's constantly telling your body that you just want more and more of this junk. What do you think about gut right?
I think I'm on to my second or third tub now. So I did it initially when I was doing a lot of work with my guts, which probably wasn't a great time to do it, because I'd had the bad reaction to the endometriosis treatment, lost all my fingernails and stuff. So my body had just given up on me as it was in general. I think it was just an extra something else going on, and I probably couldn't have even told you what it was doing. And then now I've been doing the parasite cleanse. I've added it in whilst I've been doing that. And I'm really actually in these last 3 days noticing a big difference. And when I stopped taking it between that first lot and then doing it again now, I noticed my guts changed a little bit. I actually found, overshare,
standard,
lots of gas. I had a lot of gas those first few days. Yeah, and like I was
agree.
Kind of like,
I concur.
Tom, is that you?
Great.
It was bad. It's like, that's disgusting.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I've actually been fine. I think because that first time as well, I was just mixing it in with a whole heap of things. I didn't even know what the taste was because I just kind of knock it back in smoothies and stuff. And but this time I've done it properly with the diet and everything. And yeah, I've noticed a big difference. I noticed that my guts have been responding really well. And if I miss it a day, like last time when I was doing it, when I'd miss it a day, I would feel like I'd crave it the next day. So I'm actually quite enjoying it. And I kind of think I had someone message me with our Facebook Live questions today, which we were talking about gut health, gut right anyway. And they said whether we've been doing the diet whilst we've been doing it. And I kind of think if you're going to spend the money and you're going to get it, do it properly. The guys haven't put the diet up there for no reason.
Well, because what they're recommending is the specific carbohydrate diet.
Yeah.
Which isn't really probably so much of a stretch from how you or I would eat anyway. It's you know, removing the processed carbohydrates. Obviously, you're not eating refined sugars. You're not eating gluten or dairy.
No.
But you know, they're not saying to have no carbs or, you know, go keto. They're just saying, you know, eat more vegetables and good quality meat and less shitty processed carbohydrates.
Yeah. It's really the main difference was for me is taking potatoes out.
Yeah.
Like that. Potatoes probably my favorite food.
Yeah.
So that's really all the difference was for me pretty well. And I kind of think if you're going to do it properly. That's how I see it. Like if you're going to do it, they've done a lot of research on this product as to why they're recommending this. And if you want to listen to their podcast, it's fantastic. And they talk about how removing those carbohydrates helps to break down the biofilms of the bad bacteria in there and helps then remove it. And so, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I really like the guys. I like the products that they create. And actually, what else I've been taking from their range is the Alpha Venus, which has chaste tree in it and rosemary and all other herbs. And it's really good for hormones and really good for skin. And it's been helping a lot as well.
That one would probably be really good for like period pain. And
menstrual cycle regulation, PCOS, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, go.
No, you go.
So I do like the product, and I think it's probably one of those things where if you are having problems with your gut and you're not too sure where to start, there's no harm in adding something like that in.
Yeah, I feel like that too. It's I'm only on my first tub, and I've been giving it to G as well. She's been having some in her porridge in the mornings as well. I've only been doing the once a day with her, but yeah, I'm really liking it. It's definitely something I'll end up getting some more tubs of it as well. I really want to try their product Resilience, that their new
I just
immune
ordered
support.
That. Yeah.
It looks really, really good. What actually I think they need to do is they need to do some sort of like subscription discount where you can order like 3 or 6 or something like that at a time and get a 10% discount or something like that.
I think they've started doing a points
ATP
program.
podcast, if you're watching, you know.
Hello. I think they've started to actually do a points program. So when you do orders, you then get quite a decent amount for the next one. Yep. Like I think they're trying to do it like that. But yeah, I agree. And I saw they've actually launched stool testing.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it'll be really interesting. I ordered the Resilience one because we worked out with all my recent testing that I've never produced enough immunoglobulin from birth. So that's your immune response with creating mucus in your respiratory tract and also in your digestive tract. So Resilience one is one that I've ordered because it's an immune support. But I really like their products. I like the effort that they go to create them. And I think there's no harm in trying them. It's affordable. And I think also if you found in those first 10 days, not much happened, sometimes you just need a little bit more time.
Yeah.
I've also felt like my bowels have been evacuating a lot, but not like diarrhea.
Like more completely? A complete evacuation, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, quite frequently. Because when you add something like that in and there's a lot of dead bacteria or dead bugs, you've got to poo them out. Yeah. So I'm just curious.
Well, I've actually read a few reviews from a few people who've tried the Gut Right, and a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said around the around that week, like the first
Yes.
week mark, so around day 6 or 7, they noticed they'd started going to the toilet more frequently. But also people saying that their poos were definitely better. So, you know, people who were suffering constipation were saying that they felt like they were having complete bowel evacuations and not feeling like that was still a bit blocked up. Yeah, so interesting. I think, yeah, look, I think it's one of those products that's got really great, you know, natural ingredients in there. It's one of those things, if your guts are a bit messed up, it's something that I would say is worth a try. It's about $70 a tub, and I think that's supposed to last you a month for that first, if you're doing it before you go into the maintenance dose, which is pretty reasonable when you consider how much a lot of supplements cost. And if you're not really ready to go down the route of, you know, stool testing or food allergy testing or anything like that, you just want to give something a try, to me that seems like a pretty good option, pretty solid option. Is it safe for me to buy liver from Coles to freeze and use?
That's a real hard no from me. I wouldn't. Do they even sell liver there?
You know what? That was my next question. The only place I could think like is that they would sell it for dog food or something like that.
Liver bickies. I don't know. I don't go to Coles, but I didn't think they would sell something like that. But yeah, I agree. I reckon you're right. I think if it is there, it's probably for dogs, which makes me also concerned because I'd hate to know what they do to it.
Whoever asked this question, we don't mean to offend you by suggesting that you're going to eat dog food.
No, we're not trying to be assholes. We just are naturally like this.
Just naturally comes to us.
I was saying, I put a post up the other day about the little liver capsules that Shan and I do and how much we bang on about liver because it's actually played a big role in both of our health journeys. And I was saying that with the fact that Shan and I will consume frozen raw liver is purely on the base that we trust where we get it from.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, we actually trust where we get it from. We trust that it's fresh. We know where it comes from. We know what product we're getting. If you don't know that, I would not do that.
100%. There's actually no way I would be eating non-organic liver.
No.
I just wouldn't do it. And at the end of the day, it's going to cost you like between $5 and $10 for a massive fucking organic liver. It's not going to break the bank. It's not costing you $50. It's not it's not ribeye fillet. It's offal. But there's no way I would be consuming any offal that wasn't organic. I just
no.
Not going to happen.
Me neither. No.
So that's a no for Coles.
No. And then next thing you know, Coles has brought out a range of organic offal because they all so much our Facebook lives.
But why would they? Seriously.
Don't shop at Coles. Coles are assholes. They've gone back on the plastic bag ban. I don't want anyone who watches our lives to be shopping at Coles.
No. But you know,
Coles is just a hard no. Coles is just a hard no from me in general.
Is collagen going to help my stretching baby belly?
I feel like my belly distends to like the size of a pregnant woman every so often. And I haven't had that problem yet whilst consuming collagen. But I feel like I'll actually be one of those people that I become pregnant and I don't even know because I'm so used to my belly just distending like that. And then I'll all of a sudden have a baby. With prior planning.
God help him switch.
They can't afford to have any more. This is so bad. This is a very offensive Facebook live. Standard,
Sophie.
We're never doing this at night time again.
After we've been drinking.
I'm going to be sued. I've got vodka in here with a bit of gut right and kombucha. Okay, you talk about this one because you would know.
I had collagen all through my pregnancy, and I didn't get any stretch marks or anything like that on my tummy. My tummy also didn't get that big either. Oh, look, I think it's one of those things. Did I not get stretch marks on my tummy because I was taking collagen? Probably not. Did it help? Maybe. I feel like it can't do any harm. So it's one of those things that, I don't know, give it a crack if you want. Collagen's great for your skin. So, potentially.
Yeah, well, it helps with
support that.
elasticity of the skin. So I feel like it should.
Yeah,
just good
absolutely.
quality stuff.
Yeah, it can't do any harm. I would say give it a crack if you want to. Why? Pardon? Is Tom making fun of us?
Unhelpful.
Okay, this is a good question. Do you eat organic out? And how do you stick to your diets at barbecues, etc.? Like when you go to friends' houses?
Well, I just don't have friends.
There's that.
Okay, do I eat organic out? Actually, you know what? I am a bit of a picky asshole when it comes to going out. I tend to choose places that have good quality food. If someone invited me to like cheap Taco Tuesdays, I wouldn't go. Not because I think I'm better than them, but because
I think I'm better than them.
Because I actually don't need to be sick for the next 74 days, and I also don't need to flare up my bowel disease. So I think because I literally would get really sick, I wouldn't do it. I'm definitely one of those people that checks the menu before I go anywhere. 100%.
Me too.
I've already picked out my entree, main, sides before I've gone.
Yeah.
So I definitely do. Not that it's always 100% organic. I know that that's not obviously always achievable, but I'll try and go places where I know what the food's like. I know the quality. I know that it's good cooked food. They're not taking things out of packets. They make things themselves. And yeah, I check the menu and stuff like that as well. And if my guts are really bad, I'll actually call ahead and say, I really can't be having dairy in these meals. Is it possible to make sure I'm not having dairy or gluten or different things like that as well?
Yeah. And what about
and then
when you go to people's houses?
Barbecues, I take my own food. Yeah, I do. Oh my God, I actually feel like if I ate a sausage, like those cheap barbecue sausages from Coles, I feel like I'd die. I'd die.
I might actually die. You are a little precious, though.
I am, but I actually am really precious. I've become this really sensitive, precious person, not emotionally, but
not emotionally, just physically.
But my body has. Honestly, whose fingernails fall off after an endometriosis? My hair fell out. I was bleeding. My scalp was bleeding. My lips started bleeding. My fingernails fell off. My body hates me. I've done some really bad things in my time.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I wouldn't. So I wouldn't risk it. Obviously, if there's salad there and stuff, and someone made that, I would eat it. I'm not no, Sandra, I'm not eating it.
Is that lettuce from Coles, Sandra? Really?
Yeah. Just falling out of my mouth. Who invited you anyway? But yes, I will just take I just take my own meat. I definitely take my own meat, and and then if there's salads and stuff there, I'll eat it. Otherwise, I just take my own food if I'm unsure.
Yeah.
I don't care. If it means I'm not going to be sick and I'm going to have a better time, I don't care.
Yeah. I'm not quite as physically precious as Sophie is. And I'm probably marginally less of an asshole. So I'm still pretty picky about where I would go out to eat, but it's definitely not always organic. I don't even think that's possible anywhere in Brisbane. I don't know anywhere that does only organic food. But I would try and find places that have, good quality food. And there's plenty of places around. There's plenty of cafes that source local produce or, make sure that their meat is free range. It's not I think that's a big deal. But I actually think I could probably go to any cafe in Brisbane and actually create a plate of food that I would be happy to eat. And that might just be a plate of, you know, like eggs with spinach and mushrooms and tomatoes and whatever. Like, I just don't think it has to be that hard.
No.
And in terms of like going to people's barbecues and stuff, I actually don't remember the last time I went to a barbecue where it was, I don't know, like Cole's potato salad and Cole's coleslaw. Like, it's just, that's just not, they're just not the people I'm hanging out with. So
Jen just doesn't live in Ipswich.
Oh God. So I just don't.
We can't delete this once we've put this up, can we?
Fuck no, because it's live. This has already happened. No, but I would seriously happily go to a barbecue and just eat salad and whatever. And I would also expect that most barbecues I would go to, you know, you'd take your own meat or something, or you would take a plate of something. Like, I would always want to take a salad or take a dish or something like that to a barbecue anyway. So at least, even if you were, you know, highly sensitive like Soph, where she's going to actually get really sick to stuff, if you're taking a plate or a salad or something, at least you know there's something there that you're going to be quite happy to eat.
I just don't share it.
Exactly. Just sit there with the salad bowl and just eat it all. Do you count calories or macros, and do you think this is a sustainable approach? I can't even say it. It upsets me so much.
No. I feel like we're coming across highly effective tonight. And it's not you guys.
We won't even do answers anymore. We'll just go.
No, I don't. So next question. No, yeah. We don't. Purely.
Who's got fucking time for that? That sounds like a lot of work.
And is there a nutritional panel on any of the foods that we really eat, Shan? No. You know,
Sophie can't say anything except no.
We eat vegetables. If you're eating loads of vegetables, I think that's amazing. I think if you're eating good quality meat, that's amazing. I think if you're having good quality fats in your diet, that's amazing. I think if there's places where you probably aren't eating enough fats, you need to add it in. And so you're trying to count your macros in that sense. So you make sure you're getting enough, maybe because hormonal reasons, fine. I think if you're eating a good balanced diet, you know what your plate should kind of look like, then I think that's great. I actually don't see the healthy relationship with food when macros and calories come into it. And I think the worst thing about calorie counting is you lose that nutrients counting. And quite often people are looking for low calorie foods rather than nutrient foods. And I think Shan's and my whole principle when it comes to eating is nutrients over calories every single time.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, you keep going.
We're looking for optimal health. I'm not looking for, I have them, but I'm not looking for a six-pack, right? You know?
Obviously, you're a Victoria's Secret model, but that is your genetic normal makeup.
I was born like this.
I got it from my mother.
I didn't need to be this good looking. I was born like this. And that's why I don't have to count macros. No. I'm so nutrients over. You thought I was going to say, I'm so ridiculously good looking. I'm like sweating. I'm laughing so much.
Oh my God, I'm sitting on the world's most uncomfortable chair now. Okay, carry on. I
don't even know where I was going with that. What was I saying? This is getting so unhelpful for anyone who's watching. I'm really sorry.
Nutrients, something about nutrients. You're talking about nutrients.
You know, we're choosing health. If I right now, everything that I work on when it comes to my food, it's about my health. It's about how I'm feeling. It's about working on the endo. It's about working on the pimples on my chin. It's about making sure my digestive system is functioning optimally. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, have I eaten too many calories today? Or have I done this? And I am so much more focused on my health rather than looking good in some jeans or looking good for summer or how many calories I've eaten and has it been less than what I've worked out today and all that kind of stuff. I think my whole ideal around nutrition and food has changed. And I actually think my idea of food and nutrition was the worst it had ever been when I studied nutrition, because there's such an emphasis on all of that stuff that it's actually detrimental. And that's how you start to see food. I see food as fuel that fuels my body to make me feel good. And that means that one day I eat more food because that's what my body feels like. I'll eat more food. I'm not sitting there and binging on crap. My body obviously wants more food, so I go and eat more food. And some days I don't eat as much because I don't feel like eating as much. So I think it's all about, for us, it's about health. And like we were saying before with the barbecue, I've just found out through my genetics testing that my detox pathways do not work efficiently. So I'm not going to go and eat some crappy food because I want to fit in with everyone else and then feel sick for a long time. Right now, that's what my priority is because that's what I'm working on with my health. So that's what's kind of coming first right now. And that's purely because the things that are wrong with me are classified as diseases. And I don't define myself as someone as having those things, but to me, they can become much worse if I don't kind of get on top of it all now. So it's not about being obsessed with food or a freak when it comes to that stuff or following my diet or anything like that. It's about just making sure I feel good and being healthy. And if I'm not doing that stuff, it really affects my overall life. Like, it affects my mood and how I function and what I achieve. So that's what it's all about to me. That's what food's about to me. It's not about calories and macros and you know, trying to get skinny or looking fit or any of those sorts of things.
Yeah, I agree. It's a solid no from me. I've never counted calories or macros. I do not think I have the mental capacity for that. And I also just think it really encourages a very...
You just can't count.
I can't count. Thank God for my fitness pal. I just think it really encourages a very disordered eating. I don't think it encourages a healthy relationship with food at all. And just like you said, I don't think it encourages seeking nutrients in food. It just means that you're looking for really generally pretty junky options because they're low calorie. I reckon my fitness pal would probably blow it up with the amount of calories that I would consume in a day. It'd probably be like 5,000 calories. Stop. You're going to die. Stop.
Girl, you're fat.
Stop eating all of the fucking butter. Yeah, so it's definitely a solid no for me. And I don't think it's sustainable for anybody. I can understand that people do it for a purpose. If you're morbidly obese and you need to you just need to rein it in. You need to work out your portions, or you need some guidance to help work out what a balanced plate should look like. I totally understand that, but it's a diet. That's a diet, and diets are not sustainable.
No, and I also think, I agree 100%. If it is for those reasons, you know, if you are morbidly obese or you're obese and you're going through a lot of health problems and that's something that you've started to try and help that, I agree. I totally understand the use for it. But I think your actual ideals around food and your relationship with food and all that sort of stuff needs to change hand in hand as well. And I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely, because you didn't become obese because you ate intuitively and you were eating really nutrient-dense food. It was because there was, you know, food that wasn't nourishing your body and wasn't providing your body the fuel that it needed. So yeah, it's a definite no for macros. Do you need to freeze your liver capsules for a few days before consuming?
No.
Correct. No. That is the answer. No, just until they're frozen. Couple of hours. Yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah.
Just then you can't taste them anymore.
Yeah, or smell them.
How often should I drink bone broth for gut health?
As an ongoing thing, I think you can drink it every single day. I think if your guts are really trash, you can drink quite a lot a day. When my gut's really bad, I drink liters a day to help repair them. I think, again, it's about figuring out where your guts are at and what kind of help they need.
Yep.
Dr.
Absolutely.
Phil?
Yep. The end. I got nothing else for you. I think we have successfully succeeded in blowing up Facebook.
Everyone's night.
Making everybody's night a lot better, obviously. I mean, it's not like the batchies on to watch. They've got nothing else to do. They might as well watch us. This has got to be more entertaining than the batchie.
Shan does not get a rose and move on to the next session, but I do. I'll take the show on from here. This is a big one.
You can be Osher.
Oh my God. All right. We'll send through any more questions you guys have for next time. We will answer them.
We will.
And these night ones are great. Maybe because we're so tired, we get a little bit funnier and
get a little bit amped, get a little bit nutty.
Tom did text me while we went and said, can you quieten down in there? So we were obviously getting a little bit rowdy.
Fuck off, TTF. On another note, my pressure cooker arrived. Just made a bunch of broth. An hour, 40 minutes.
Told ya. Life-changing. Life-changing. If you ever want to batch cook like a badass, anyone who's watching, get a pressure cooker.
Absolutely.
Kitchen Warehouse, will they have them in store or just order them in?
They've got them in store. Tefal, Cook For Me, I think it's called.
Yeah, they were good, those ones. So I did a little research into low tox options and
ceramic. They're a ceramic stainless steel.
Yeah.
The stainless steel with ceramic coating. You know what? I actually went into the Good Guys last week to have a look because I just got so sick of hearing you bang on about your pressure cooker that I was like, I need to have one of these. I've got the worst envy in the world. And I went into the Good Guys. They did not have a single, they must have had a dozen different pressure cookers in there. They did not have a single one that was not Teflon coated.
Yeah. I actually just ordered stainless steel pots online for mine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the inserts are the Philips ones, and you just take my one out that's ceramic, that's coated, and I just put the stainless steel pots in from now on. Low tox. Look at me go.
Genius.
I think they're like $30.
Genius.
Yeah.
Absolutely genius. Good thinking, Philips.
Yeah.
What will they come up with next?
To be continued.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
We got to go. Keep it real.
Bye-bye.
Bye.